Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center. And guess what? It's our favorite time of the week, because we're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. Alright, first up, new exclusive this week. It is an ArtisanCutlery. It is a Dirk Pinkerton design. It is the Proponent. Not the small Proponent, not the little guy. The big daddy Proponent. Wow. This is one of those knives that as soon as you pick it up, it's like, whoa. Because, I mean, look at it. It's a giant slab frame lock design that just feels impressive as soon as you put it in your hand. More impressive is the price on this particular knife. Previously, you could get versions of this with S35 VN for about a little bit over 200 bucks. This one, with its more plain, unanodized finish going on, we've got with an M390 blade, which is coming up on that, getting close to that 4-inch mark, $190 for this exclusive right now. So you're getting the same great design, more edge retention on the steel, and less money. I mean, what's not to love? You got your Wharncliffe style blade. We could even call this kind of a sax blade because it's got that broken tipped look going on, creating that very acute point with a very thick blade stock going on. This is a massive chunk of a blade that feels like you could just power through whatever you put in front of it, quite honestly. Very acute tip, perfectly straight edge, razor sharp, blasted finish for that rugged, good look right there. Backed up with the same finish on the titanium frame. Fills the hand fantastically. That frame lock is nice and strong. You've got a reversible milled clip that you can put on either side. Hence the term reversible, of course. Now, if for some reason you think that the frame lock on this knife is not strong enough, I'm not sure you need to have that worry, but if for some reason you do, this knife comes with a piece of string. No, it comes with a piece of cord attached to a hardened threaded bolt right here, which you can slide through and screw down into place. So even if I move that frame lock back, doesn't make a difference because that pin is holding that blade in place using the entire rest of the frame as its anchor, so to speak. Definitely instills even more confidence, of course, and perhaps even more useful, I think anyway, is the ability to use this when the knife is closed too. Let's say you're storing this knife, or maybe you have it in a bag or something like that, because let's be honest, that is quite a commitment for your pocket to be able to carry this that way. But if you have it in a bag and you might be worried about it opening, now with this right here, you don't have to worry about that either. It's not gonna go any farther than that right there. So that is, I think, pretty cool. And a feature you don't see too much of on that many knives out there. But you've got that just in case you want it. Flipping action, we've got ceramic ball bearings here. It is a massive piece of steel you're moving around, so it's not quite as snappy feeling as a lighter blade could be. I mean, you're having to move a lot of steel around, but it works great. You've also got those oversized thumb studs. They're gonna work great even if you have gloves on. It's gonna be easy to find. And it might be a little bit trickier to thumb flick or middle finger flick because you've got the frame lock to deal with. You might be putting a little bit of inadvertent pressure on that when trying to do that flick, but you could use it as a thumb opener if you want, even though you already have thumb opening with the studs right there. But all in all, a very impressive piece at a very impressive price. Next up, another exclusive, and this is sort of an exercise in contrast here. Look at the size difference between these two knives. We also have this week, actually debuting tomorrow on Friday, the day after this video posts, we have the MKM Flame Light, of which there are two blade shapes. There is the single-edged dagger profile as well as a standard drop point. And they are available in 3 different colors of micarta or KnifeCenter exclusive olive wood handles that you can see on this drop point version right here. Actually, I already told you they're olive wood, so I lost my opportunity to make the joke that, you know, we cut up little pieces of this this table to make the handles, but no matter. Really good looking. Again, you can get this in both blade shapes. Price on all of these is $160. And the flame itself, the full titanium, or actually there were some micarta versions of the full standard flame version were available too. That was a frame locking knife. These are liner locking knives. And honestly, I kind of like them a little bit better. You're a little bit more comfortable. You're not dealing with the frame lock cut out there. Not that the originals were uncomfortable, mind you, but there's something nice about a knife like this, which is a classy presentation style knife, being able to show more of your fancy presentation material on the back, especially with this olive wood. We've also got a different pocket clip, a tail-mounted folded deep carry clip, my favorite kind of style out there, and this one is an excellent execution of it. The liner lock feels good, it operates nicely. This whole knife just disappears into the handle for a little tiny bit of the spine there, but you can barely notice it. And of course the flipper tab, and then it's going to flip open nicely too on the ball bearings. But these are fantastic, classy knives, whether you're going to use it as a gentleman's knife or as just a more slightly upscale daily carry. The micarta one works great for that too. But the whole thing has that kind of executive style where you've got that long, narrow blade, and in this case it also folds up, almost completely disappearing into the handle there. You've got a hint of the spine, but really just the flipper tab right there, which with the ball bearings help that blade go out quite nicely. Let me tell you a little bit more about the blade. I haven't done that yet. M390 steel, very good edge retention there, and about just under that 3-inch mark. So very useful little size and very good performance out of it. The micartas, you've got black, natural, or green. The black has the blue pivot collar right there, and I think the green has a bronze collar, kind of like we have on the exclusive right here. Maybe mistaken by that, but you can see all the pics at the website tomorrow, again, on Friday. But this is the dagger profile. You get 2 tabs sticking out. Doesn't really work as a pocket deployer or anything like that. It's a little too softened. It's mostly just for aesthetics, but it's got a really cool symmetrical look going on. Same deal on the blade, 3 inches, M390 steel, stone-washed finish. Excellent. All right, next up is kind of a surprising knife because we have a crossbar lock from Bear & Son. This is the, they call it the slide lock folding knife, which means they're calling their crossbar lock the slide lock, which, let's just standardize names, people. Anyway, it's kind of a cool looking knife. Bit of a departure from most crossbar locking knives out there. Kind of leans into Bear & Son's slightly more old school aesthetic. Price on it though is pretty good, $76. You've got a D2 blade, stainless steel bolsters, and a G10 handle right here. There is a laminated wood handle available also. I think it's laminated. I don't think it's rosewood. Ooh, it's actually even fancier. A Cocobolo handle coming in at $70. That's pretty cool. As far as the action, this one's been breaking in a little bit. Like, it wasn't super smooth as at the first flip, but it is getting better as I've used it. Blade itself, 3.4, just shy of that, D2 steel. And Thomas, would you care to describe for the people watching at home what this blade shape is?
It's kind of your job, isn't it?
Don't make me walk out of here. Give the people what they want.
Here comes Puppet David.
Sort of kind of a reverse Tonto-esque blade profile going on with a thumb opening hole as well. The kind of the only complaint I do have about it is the thumb hole could be left, it's been rounded over a little too much. You can still open it with the thumb, but you got to think about it a little bit. It might have been better off if it was kind of a little crisper, so to speak, a little easier to open. But it's a nice little blade shape. It's a good daily utility shape. You've got a hollow grind on it. The D2 has some good edge retention on it as well. It's also made in the USA. So all of that coming together at this kind of price, there's definitely something there worth checking out. All right, this next knife also has a little bit of a slightly older school style to it, but I'm really enamored with these right now, actually. Santa Fe Stoneworks, you may be more familiar with them for the custom work they do on Kershaw leeks and Spyderco knives like the Delicas, the Dragonflies, and that sort of thing. Well, this is a knife of theirs, straight up. This is a custom L-ray Comes in about $3.95 for it. You've got a VG10 blade, 3¼ inches long, and a button lock mechanism, which is all the rage right now. And even though this is kind of an older take on the mechanism, or an older school feeling take on the mechanism, it still has everything you want from a button lock nowadays, that being that free-floating centrifugal action you've got going on there. And I love the blade shape. It's got this very nice drop point. The edge itself drops below the handle a little bit, so it's going to be really great for getting out of its way as you go to cut things. High hollow grind, kind of a black DLC finish, like almost a black polished DLC finish. It's really cool. Tail-mounted deep carry pocket clip again. Folks know I love that. But fine, I'll talk about the handles because that's what you all really want to see. This is a Fordite handle inlay, which, if you're unfamiliar, original Fordite is essentially layers of paint from paint booths from the Ford plants, car manufacturing. And they take that material as it's compressed and they turn it into other stuff, including these cool knife inlays right here. Each one of these is going to be a little bit different. We've got several different models from them, 2 different patterns, I should say, with a lot of different selection right now. How cool is that? It's got a great shape, it's got a great story, it's got a great look as well. But that material wasn't exclusive to the Ford plants, but sometimes it's called Detroit agate or motor agate, and essentially it's the overspray from those paint cycles, and it's stuff that is a lot harder than you would expect because it's gotten baked through their drying process repeatedly, and it makes it more stable than just flaky layers of paint essentially. But it's really cool. US made knife, very cool look, very cool story to that type of material. Great design, eminently useful. There you go. Santa Fe Stoneworks El Rey. And now, because we've got that nice pop of green in this particular piece, it makes a great transition to this next knife right here, which is the latest UK pen knife from Spyderco, part of their Salt series with the 3-inch LC200N blade and those bright green FRN handles. $98 for this knife, also made in the USA. And if you're familiar with the UK pen knife series, you'll know that it is a slip joint. This is a non-locking knife, but it's still a pretty darn safe knife despite that, because you've got a pretty deliberate action. You've got the half stop along the way. It opens really nicely, thanks to that thumb hole, by the way, one-handed. But the other primary safety method you have right here is their finger choil, which you can see right there. So if you're holding this knife the way you instinctually would, if the blade were to start to close as you were using it, your finger is going to keep it from moving further and resulting in any kind of accident, so to speak. Very cool design apart from that as well. Even when you take that opening method out of it, it's a great utility pattern. It has enough length there with that choil for a 4-finger grip, even in my slightly larger than average hands. It's a shape that's very conducive to your manipulations, so that would make it ergonomic based off our video from earlier this week, perhaps? Probably. Really good blade. Thin enough, high flat grind, full flat grind, very slicey, very pokey as well. Just great for daily utility. And it's a very subtle knife in a way. There are black handled versions of this which are perhaps more subtle, but you do have a black wire pocket clip here which doesn't announce itself too much. You are going to get a little bit of that bright green peeking out of the top of your pocket, however. That clip is reversible, which is good because everything else on the knife is perfectly ambidextrous too, which is great. So that's the UK pen knife. The Salt side of things comes in from Spyderco's devotion to creating a line of knives that is as corrosion proof as anything could possibly be. And that's what you have here. The LC200N is virtually corrosion proof. It can, under very extreme circumstances, patina, do a little bit, but I'm talking extremely extreme circumstances, like Joe Flowers level of extreme types of things. There's longtime regulars will recognize that story. But they also treat the internals of the knife and make sure that none of those are going to rust away on you as well. So the maintenance worry with this knife is virtually non-existent. Very cool. And the LC200N performs as well. It's not just stainless for the sake of being stainless or virtually stain proof for the sake of it. It's good and tough. The edge stability on this steel is fantastic. I've used my Spidey Chef with this steel, really torquing that edge, putting a lot of lateral stress on it, expecting it to chip as I was doing those cuts. You know, like, so extreme that as you're doing it, you're like wincing. It's like, oh, that's gonna hurt. Flying colors. Edge was still intact, no chips, not even any rolls in those cases, which was really impressive. And it holds an edge quite more than adequately as well. So check that out. For another knife with LC200N, we've got a small everyday carry fixed blade. Could be carried around the neck, could be made to work as a pocket carry, but you're gonna need some additional stuff to add to it if you wanna do that. I'll get to that in a little bit. This is the Subway Bowie designed by Fred Perrin with a sub 3-inch LC200N blade coming in about $121. This is from their Japanese facility, which always turns out great work. Little bit thicker than the UK penknife we just looked at, and you've got a saber height flat grind. Going for a little bit more stoutness on this little thing, which I think is appropriate because even though the handle is small, it's really like just a 2.5 finger grip for me. It's injection molded, but the shape is such that it genuinely feels pretty darn secure. I feel like I could tackle a mountain of cardboard with this without kind of fumbling or losing my grip on this knife. It's certainly possible, but it doesn't feel like I'm gonna have to worry about that too much, which is pretty impressive. But this is gonna make a great just daily utility. It's not really a tactical knife like the Perrin designed Street Beats or the Street Bowies or something like that. This is more just an everyday friend, so to speak. The sheath is made from Bolteron, and you've got a nice angle to the handle as it kicks out from that sheath. Comes with some cordage and a breakaway ball chain, so it is definitely set up for neck carry. Grab that, extract the knife, you're ready to go. If you wanted to pocket carry this, you could, as mentioned, but you're gonna need something like an ulti clip to add to these holes here. These aren't gonna be compatible with anything like a tech lock, so keep that in mind. But one of the longer ulti clips could work. And then you've got a really cool pocket fixed blade with a nice angle to that handle that is a little more natural when you're going to the pocket as you move out from there. Very, very cool little knives. The black coated version is not in stock yet. I know folks have been really anticipating both of those versions of this, but for now, the satin blade is in stock. Next up, another kind of, well, everyday carryable fixed blade-ish. This is the Acta non-Verba CMS Kiridashi. Very cool little tool right here, 128 bucks. You've got a big slab of L-Max steel. Edge itself is about 1.2 inches, thereabouts. And unlike a lot of Kiridashis out there that stray pretty significantly from a traditional Japanese woodworking Kiridashi, which is where the name comes from, this one hews a little closer to it. Hew woodworking, get it?
Moving on.
It's a good joke. Because this is a chisel ground blade right here with a single beveled edge on the front side. So like the marking knives from Japanese woodworking, I don't know whether this is right-handed or left-handed because I'm not as an expert on that specifically.
I think everything's flipped horizontally over there.
No, you're thinking of south of the equator.
Well, that's upside down. Kangaroos.
They already think I'm that guy from Stranger Things. We don't need to be talking about the upside down.
What upside down?
Exactly. This is probably not intended by the ANV folks as the woodworking tool specifically, but it could be used as such, but it's primarily an everyday carry item. I'll get to the sheath in a second. I like how they've crowned all of the edges except for the edge itself for comfort, and on the inside here, you've got 2 bits. I haven't even checked to see what these are yet. It looks like a T8, and we've also got an hex bit as well. Let's see if we have them listed here so I don't have to pull them out. Of course we don't. That means I have to pull them out. Let's see. Actually, remember, boys and girls, safety first. Before trying to extract the bits, I will put it into its Kydex sheath, which you can see right there. So after double checking, we have a T9 and a size 3, I'm assuming that's 3mm hex on the backside here. But these are standard 1/4-inch drive bits, so you can pretty much put whatever you'd like in there. and they can be turned. If I move this rubber strap down a little bit, takes some deliberate action. Well, you have a hex turner there on the end. Believe me, you can see the ends of it right there. Really cool piece. It's put together very well, which is funny to say because it's literally just a slab, but the fit and finish is what I really mean by that. It is excellent. You've got everything in its place. Everything looks perfectly done. There you go. Check those out. Next up, we have another Olight Oknife. This is the Nightclaw, an EDC keychain with a 0.92-inch D2 blade coming in at $40. And this is one of those, if you didn't know it was a knife, it's going to be very subtle. Knife people might know if we get a hold or get a hang of this sort of thing. G10 handles. This one has blue and black, or black with blue accents, and a really cool button release lock here on the front. It's got like this blue jeweled piece. I know it's not going to be an actual jewel at this $40 price point, and some milling on the button itself, so it looks really fancy. And the sane way to open this is to push that lock. You can see these two little bumps here at the top. Push down the button lock and you're able to start opening that hawkbill blade and open it the rest of the way two-handed. There's a little bit of a nail nick that you can see right there. Very aggressive. It's a little bit thick, full flat grind though. This is not an efficient slicer, but it is a always there utility knife when you need it. As far as the less sane way to operate this knife, push and flick. It's got that, pardon my left hand fumbling there, it's got that button lock goodness that you would want. Very cool little pieces. All right, next up from Olight, we have something a little closer to what they are mostly known for, being their lights. We have a limited edition of the O Pen, the O Pen Pro specifically, which is a pen, but it also incorporates some light emitting elements. But this limited edition version here is pretty pricey. It's about 300 bucks, and the entire body is made from a zirconium Damascus called Dark Space Silver is the finish that they're using. Very cool looking stuff. It's got a little bit of reflectivity. It's not as kind of like dark black as I'm used to thinking of when I think of zirconium as a material, but very cool piece. Actually, some of these accenting pieces might be zirconium, I'm not sure. As for the pen itself, it is a bolt action, which I am a big fan of because you get the convenience of a clicky top pen, but if it is in your pocket, it's not like a clicky top pen gonna get depressed as easily, which could get ink all over everything. A nice little thing there. But that bolt action also activates not just the LED light here in the clip, but also a green laser on the end right here. Click once, you're gonna get the light. While the light is on, if you click and hold, you'll cycle through some modes. Now, from any light level or from the off position, if you double click, it'll go into its turbo mode, which, let's talk about lumens here. What is that turbo lumen? I got a blue spot in my eyes right here. I'm trying to read here.
That's on you.
Yeah, that's my fault. So the brightest level is 120 lumens. The lowest is 5. So it's got those 4 steps basically. Obviously not going to equal the 1,000 lumen pocket monsters you can get out there, but still a respectable amount of light.
Like this one?
I knew that was coming. Thank you. The other thing it does, if you, while it is off, click and hold, you get that green laser, which is great for indicating things, pointing around. For instance, I can point to little details on these knives here. See, you've got the little Spyderco bug right here. Also drives cats crazy, which is why I bought one of these myself. Not the this limited edition. I've had one for a while, but.
We should see if it works on Seth.
Here, come on, Seth. It's kind of cat-like sometimes.
A little bit.
Anyway. Check those out. Limited edition, as mentioned. I don't know how many they're limited to, but they're not going to be around forever. So if you are interested in one, definitely check it out. The same thing is true of this Victorinox modern carving knife right here. This is a limited edition for 2022. It features a Damast steel powder metallurgy blade, looks great and performs great as well. It's an aesthetic and a performance boost over the base level steels they use. And being limited, the price is a bit dear as well, $750 for these. And these are limited, in fact, to 1884, which was the year that Victorinox was founded. And this one, as you can see, is number 231 out of that batch of knives. But there you go. The modern series, we haven't shown much on the channel yet, but it's got a very different feel than the more kind of classic style grips that you see on most Victorinox kitchen knives. But it feels good. It's got a nice swell to it, a good taper towards the front for pinch grips, which you're doing less with this carving knife, I would say, but it does have enough drop. You could use this as a slim chef style knife if you want. It's good, good all around pattern, whether you go with the Damast steel version or well, the 9-inch carving knife, which is what this is. Standard version is like $58 with the synthetic handle. So you can go with that if you like the design, you want to save a little bit of money over this limited edition. Next up, we have another Bear & Son, actually, a fixed blade. This is the Bear Tac III. Comes in about $86. And it's got the look of a much larger Bowie knife, but this is only a 4.9-inch blade, more or less. D2 steel. I really dig this. I was kind of surprised. At first, I was like, oh, that's a lot smaller than I thought the pictures led me to believe. But in a way, something about it feels really right. In a way, it almost feels like a boot Bowie, like a boot knife Bowie style knife here. How many more times can I say knife?
How many more times can you say boot?
Boot, a boot. It's kind of a boot knife Bowie, I would say. Even though the sheath is not boot style, I shouldn't get that wrong impression into anyone's head. It is a kind of simple nylon tactical style sheath with a retention strap and a Velcro loop for the handle, MOLLE compatibility at the back, and standard belt loop. Pretty versatile setup there. But this thing feels nice. It's maybe a little heavy, but it feels pretty maneuverable, and the shape is great. Certainly has that kind of defensive capabilities baked into its look, but I think this would be pretty useful day to day as well. You could choke up because of that large choil in the ricasso right there. Maybe if your fingers are as large as mine, you might hit the back of that edge a little bit, but this can also work if you get it stuck in something. You can get in front of that guard and help pull it out a little bit more easily. Blade itself is a flat ground saber grind. You've got a long swedge, most of the length of the knife, of the blade itself. G10 handles kept nice and skinny. Overall, compact yet capable. All right, next up we have a new version of the American Tomahawk Company Model 2, which is of course made by RMJ Tactical, who have a pretty much unimpeachable reputation for the quality of their tactical hatchets. The Model 2, unlike the Model 1, which is more tactical, this Model 2 strikes me as something that's a little more versatile, a little more utilitarian, a little more like something I would use if I'm going camping, quite honestly. You could certainly still use this tactically and it would hold up quite well, but you've got more variety, which is the spice of life, of course. $239 for this, made in the USA, hickory wood handle, and what's the steel that they're using on these? 1060 high carbon, plenty tough, great choice for this type of tool. And I love the design of the head. The cutting edge itself is just over 4 inches, and it has that very aggressive bearded style, influenced a bit by like Viking and Norse axes, which were definitely tactical in nature. But the advantage of this for the camper or the bushcrafter, that sort of thing, is you can get behind that edge and use it as an impromptu push knife, essentially, or draw knife if you want. But for those like finer carving tasks, if you needed to do it, you could. And then on the backside, rather than a hammer pull, rather than a spike, we have a narrow tomahawk style hammer pull. So you can use that for driving in tent stakes or pounding on other things, that sort of stuff. And then as for the finish here, it is a powder coated finish in this gray, which keeps things kind of, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Keeps things kind of classic looking, but you're also protecting the steel underneath. It's gonna be less likely to rust on you as you use it. Very compelling package right here. And the sheath as with anything RMJ, is exceptionally well done. It's Kydex. It clicks in. There you go. Very, very authoritatively, and you've got an additional strap for extra security. Pardon me while I push it on. It is a pull the dot snap as well, which means it's only going to come off in the direction of that little dimple on it. It's not going to come across or come off sideways. You've got to pull it in that one direction only to use the tool. Yeah, overall, very, very awesome. All right, last but not least is this black case over here, which, you know, we show knives mostly on this YouTube channel. You may not know that we also carry a decent selection of higher end grooming products. And this is one I think was pretty interesting. It is the Kiehl brand. They're made in Solingen, Germany. Very high quality. This set right here with the case is pricey. It's about $168, but a lot of these tools are available separately. They feel solid. You've got clips, razor, files, whole 9 yards in here. But my favorite part about this, which is why I pulled this one, is this little doohickey right here. It's got a leather coating on the outside. This is actually a travel shave brush. Unscrew the tip right here, or the cap end right there. Slide the brush out, screw it in to the opposite side, and away you go. You've got a lathering brush right there. Badger hair, as you would hope for. Knurling to help you unscrew it when you're done. And when you are done, simply slide it back in, screw the bottom back on, and very thoughtfully, they left some holes there so that it can actually dry out. You're not going to be, you know, trapping moisture in there with the bristles and damaging them, essentially. Pretty cool little piece, and available in this set right here. But check out, we'll leave a link to the whole brand down below. I think it's definitely worth checking out if you're in the market for some higher end personal grooming items. That's all we have this week. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and to get your hands on any of it, check out the links in the description that take you over to KnifeCenter.com. While you're there, don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, because if you're going to put your money down on one of these items, might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing out. See you next time.